Welcome to the Hindustani Poetry Podcast. I am Samina Mishra. This podcast is a curation of poetry written by children in workshops that were part of the Hindustani research project. The poems explore the ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity guaranteed to all citizens by the Constitution of India. The children writing these poems are from grades 6 to 9 from 3 places. Shahin Bagh in Delhi, that was a site of a citizens' protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act. Rural Firozpur in Punjab, that was active in the farmers' protests. And Kitab Mahal, a library catering to Dalit and Muslim children in Govandi, Mumbai. The children are a mixed group. Some study in English medium private schools, some in government schools. Some children wrote in Hindi, some in English. They bring their diverse contexts into the poems they write, giving us glimpses of their lived experiences. Listening to their poems can lead us to think about our own experiences of liberty, equality, and fraternity, and examine what citizenship means. The poems can perhaps open a window to the world we seek to live in. The poem narrated in this episode was written as part of an exercise in which children were asked to reflect on their everyday life and when they had felt a sense of belonging. The poet is 14 years old and studies in a municipal school in Govandi, Mumbai. She lives in a densely packed compound of high-rise buildings where people who lived in slums and pavements from all over Mumbai were rehoused. Living in such a space means coping with the lack of facilities, such as poor sanitation, no safe play areas, and uncertain power and water supply. What do children experience in such circumstances? How does that affect their relationships with those around them? And from where do they draw their sense of belonging?
My people, those friends who are with me in difficult times, are those my people? Those neighbors who fight on small things, are those my people? Those people in my family who gave money for my sister's wedding, are those my people? That grandmother who is always suspicious of me, are those my people? Those people at Kitab Mahal Library who gave me a chance to try everything, are those my people? Those people who walked into Taj Hotel, are those my people? Those teachers who listen to me and understand me, are those my people? Those policemen who take money from the rich and falsely accuse the poor, are those my people? Those people in the Powai Chawl who, on April 14th, celebrate Ambedkar Jayanti with me, are those my people? Those people who tear down mosques, are those my people?
This poem demonstrates how discrimination based on gender, class, religion, and caste manifest in tangible ways. It shows us glimpses of how this occurs. For example, when the poet feels unable to walk into the Taj Hotel, or when she feels that the police does not treat poor people fairly. So even though the Constitution says that we are all equal, the realities seen in this poem tell a different story. When the poet writes, those people in the Powai Chawl who on April 14th celebrate Ambedkar Jayanti with me, are those my people? She is speaking of the idea of community belonging. How do we become part of a community? Is it by birth? Is it by what we do? Or is it by who we choose to become? For this girl, the people who tear down mosques is a group that she questions belonging to, even though they may be from a community she is born in. Her act of writing these lines is a choice that comes from her everyday experiences. We receive ideas like community, caste, rights, and citizenship in different ways, but we really make sense of them through our everyday experiences. This poet told me about her best friend, who is Muslim and in whose house she spends a lot of time. It is this intertwining of lives, this sharing of space, both public and private, that makes her aware of other people's concerns and challenges. And this in turn shapes her idea of belonging, of who she thinks of as her people. And so, in her everyday, she's finding ways of being together, of seeing herself and her friend as both different and same. The everyday then also holds possibilities for imagining new ways of seeing and understanding, of being and belonging. Natasha Badhwar is a teacher, filmmaker, and author whose writing draws deeply from her life. She believes that memoir writing can be a healing, transformative journey for both writers and readers. She read this poem and told us what it made her think and feel.
I read this poem and then I read it again. It really moved me. The language is so simple and yet there's so much depth in the feeling, in the observations that the child is making. It just seems to come so much straight from the heart of a child, the simplicity of its language, the depth of its feeling, the very intense way in which the child points out her understanding of justice, of injustice, of power structures that she's surrounded by. You know, when she mentions the policeman, when she mentions rich people, fancy people who can go to the Taj Hotel that she has never dared to imagine herself going in. When she talks about those who are kind to her and those who are not, she makes you realize how sensitive is the soul of the child. And she also reminds you of how sensitive really is each one of us. It's just that when we grow up, we learn to hide our sensitivities, to mask them. It's really, really quite a beautiful experience to have read this. I read it to my children and I warned them. I said I might cry. And then I was wiping tears as I finished. And it's not necessarily tears of grief. It's just tears of recognition of the beauty of a child's soul and this voice of hers with which she's reminding us that maybe we shouldn't take so much inequality for granted.
My people, those friends who are with me in difficult times, are those my people? Those neighbors who fight on small things, are those my people? Those people in my family who gave money for my sister's wedding, are those my people? That grandmother who is always suspicious of me, are those my people? Those people at Kitab Mahal Library who gave me a chance to try everything, are those my people? Those people who walked into Taj Hotel, are those my people? Those teachers who listen to and understand me, are those my people? Those policemen who take money from the rich and falsely accuse the poor, are those my people? Those people in the Powai Chawl who, on April 14th, celebrate Ambedkar Jayanti with me, are those my people? Those people who tear down mosques, are those my people?
These poems are from Hum Hindustani, a project on children and citizenship for TESF India. The poems in this episode were read by Kashvi. More details on the project can be found in the show notes. The Hum Hindustani Poetry Podcast is a production of the Magic Key Center for the Arts in Childhood and is written and hosted by me, Samina Mishra. The children reading the poems were mentored by Ananya Tripathi. Studio recordings were done at Quarter Note Studios by Amartya Ghosh. Music is by Shireen Ghosh, and the vocal track you hear is Ishan Chintamani. This podcast was produced by Vaka Media. Our thanks go out to all the children who participated in the Hum Hindustani workshops and wrote these poems. You can follow us on Instagram at the Magic Key Center or visit hum-hindustani.in to know more about the project. Support for this podcast comes from Rohini Nilikani Philanthropies.